Hello again, rail fans. The summer has been a hot one this year. I know not just here in Florida, you folks all over the country have had heat in a lot of places, and that makes for kind of a tough rail fanning day sometimes, but that's why I like to get up early and go out. Recently, I went out on a Saturday morning and not really knowing what I was going to find or chase, I just kind of let the radio be my guide, and where I heard action on the radio is where I started. And on this particular morning, I started down in the Bone Valley.
Vegetable farms dot the landscape of Florida's Bone Valley phosphate region. This farm at Edison butts right up against CSX's Valrico subdivision, one of two main lines that connect this mining area to the railroad network. Rolling south this morning is K339, a daily round trip between Ag Rock, Mosaic's staging yard for wet rock coming out of its Four Corners mine. .339 brings empties from the Riverview Phosphate Plant on Tampa's eastern shore back to the loadout down at Ag Rock. Edison is a junction where the Brewster subdivision breaks out of the Valrico sub and goes southward to New Wales, Bradley, Brewster, Ag Rock, and Arcadia. Until the 1980s, it was called the Boca Grande sub, and from Arcadia, it continued south to Port Boca Grande. The seaboard shipped lots of phosphate out of there for decades. K339 is now on that route and headed past New Wales. You can see the plant in the distance at the top of the right screen. Mosaic claimed at one time this was the largest phosphate plant in the world, and it's big enough to still be so. The sky kept getting worse as the morning went on, so I headed for the barn around noon, but I was back out bright and early the next morning. This is Winston Yard in Lakeland. The conductor of Local 0738 has just hung his end-of-train device and is walking back up to the head end. The engine tracks are filled up this morning. A CP unit with nice-looking red paint. These are often pretty faded. Then a CSX SD70 AC and a CSX ES40 DC with a Western Maryland decal on the nose. They've applied quite a few of these predecessor road decals to working locomotives. Just ahead is another trio of CSX engines, an ES44AH, and my kind of heritage units, old AC44s, or as CSX calls them, CW44ACs. Back in the 90s, when these things first came on the scene, we used to call them lightning bolts. I've gotten a few questions lately about which way engines are pointed, why they're sometimes backwards. This can be on purpose, or just the way they came in. Almost all diesel-electric locomotives will do the same work no matter which way they're pointed. They can go just as fast and pull just as much backwards as forward. When terminal locomotive handlers set up power for a local train, they'll try to use two engines back-to-back. This eliminates the need to turn the locomotives to put the cab on the front for the return trip. When they're back-to-back, you already have one pointed that way. Crews just walk to the other end, make the switch, and go. All right, let's get back to work. North Y Winston, where the yard connects with the A-line. 0738 is finishing up his job briefing with the JF dispatcher. He's doing it rolling so as not to waste any time.
Yeah, what's your first stop, over?
We got to work Martin Marietta and air gas today, and they're right down next to each other. How much time we got up there, folks? I'd like to drop these 48, work air gas, and then pull everything into Martin Marietta.
About 2.5 hours, over.
All right, 2.5 hours. I can get it done at that time.
0738 is a daily local that serves customers on the A-line north of Lakeland. It's often big blocks of rock hoppers for Davenport. There are two large distributors out there. I didn't copy the tonnage on him this morning, but 0738 is pouring it on as he climbs the hill out of Winston into downtown Lakeland.
0738 08 CSXD 5424 medium clear south lane. Number 2 remaining north.
This is Henry Plant's Savannah, Florida and Western Railroad that he pushed into South Florida in the late 1800s. Later, the Atlantic Coastline, Maine. Now it's the CSX A-Line. At Davenport on the far east side of Polk County sits the Martin Marietta Mineral Distribution Yard at Loftman. When I got there, 738 had already backed in. They handle several kinds of rock for the multiple kinds of construction happening in Central Florida. Lots of cement, ready-mix concrete, blacktop, and other specialty aggregate needs. It comes in by rail and goes out to customers on trucks. They have a remote control switcher to handle the unloading of cars. It's an old GE B23-7, and one operator handles the locomotive, car spotting, and dumping operation. Afterward, I drifted back south on the A-Line to Haine City, where I expected 738 to be coming back soon. The notable feature in Haine City is the big fill through a pretty good-sized valley. You just don't see fills of this size in Central Florida, except here on the Lake Wales Sand Ridge. I expected 0738 to be along, but he used up too much of his time and got into Amtrak's slot. So while I sat up here on the high fill, up came Amtrak 91, the Silver Star. 2 locomotives, 5 coaches, a cafe, Viewliner diner, 3 Viewliner sleeping cars, a Viewliner baggage, and another Viewliner sleeper, probably deadheading.
Southbound Haine City for this 91.
Deadheading is transportation slang for riding but not working. It's used in airlines, bus lines, shipping, trucks. The railroads use the term deadheading when they need to get engines or cars or crews to places where they're needed. You deadhead them to a particular place. So that's basically what deadheading is, giving them a free ride. Okay, we hope you had fun on this outing today. Please hit the like button if you like this video. And even if you didn't like it so much, hit the like button, please. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. And share it with your railfan friends on your other social media, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. I'd really appreciate that. Write your comments in the comments section down below. And I try to read all of those, and I try to respond to as many as I can. You can also email me at railfandanny@gmail.com. I try to reply to all of those as well. We'll do this again soon, so please stay safe out there. When you're rail fanning, remember, stay back from those rails, and remember to drink a lot of water on these hot days. It can really creep up on you. Stay tuned, because we'll have another one of these coming up sometime soon, and we'll meet again somewhere out there on the high iron. Until then, this is Danny Harmon, out.